What's good, peeps? Um, this is another video for his financial improvement. If you guys don't know, I do not listen to YouTubers or I don't listen to anybody, just anybody. I listen to people on Forbes. Okay, I listen to certain type of people. I don't take advice from anybody. I only take advice from the best of the best.
Hi, everybody. I'm Diane Brady. I am here with John Katzimatidis, who is, of course, owner, president, chairman, and CEO of Gristedes, also the Red Apple Group. I see you're wearing your WABC pin. You have a great show. And you're author of, I'm looking at it over there, but it's How Far Do You Want to Go? Lessons from a Common Sense Billionaire. John, welcome.
Thank you for having me. And there's so much to talk about.
Where do we
Where do you
start?
want to
Let's
start?
start with common sense. Like, define what you mean by that.
I'm sorry, Forbes, for because some videos are licensed, so you're not supposed to be well, you can react to it, but you have to edit it. You have to talk over it a lot for them not to copyright you.
What's common
I
sense?
think when I describe it in politics, I describe it as everybody should have the right to talk, especially in our universities. Uh, I don't believe in extreme left wing. I don't believe in extreme right wing. I believe that people should have a discussion and let the audience decide, or at the end of the day come up with common sense solutions. It went back to Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill. They argued like heck, but at the end of the day, they did what's good for America, and that's important. Bill Clinton, Newt Gingrich, they didn't like each other. They argued like heck. But at the end of the day, they did what's good for America. I think those are the last two individuals, Bill Clinton, Newt Gingrich.
This is a good advice for people, especially black people, because when somebody don't agree with you or disagree with you, you guys wanna you wanna say fuck. I'm black, so just make sure I put that out here. But yeah, especially black people. A lot of rich people don't like each other, but they work with each other and make a lot of money, even though they don't like each other. Or they work with each other to get to get a problem that they both want fixed. Even though that they do not like each other, they still work together to get a solution.
The deficit was 5.5 trillion.
Yeah.
Guess what? They took it down to 5 trillion. Who else would do that?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, everybody blames technology. What do you think happened that took us in this direction of no middle ground, basically, certainly in politics?
Something happened. I keep asking.
Yeah, 5.5 trillion is the half he's talking about is 500 billion. If you don't know, just making sure you know.
And I think it happened mostly in the last 10 years. Um, and it's just mind boggling. Um, One person said to me, the senators used to stay in Washington and used to drink with each other, eat with each other. And all of a sudden, they're all going home on weekends or going home,
Work life balance destroyed us.
yeah, and to raise money and whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's way too much money being floated around Washington. I think the common sense in Washington is hurting. I am worried about foreign monies coming into Washington and having undue influence. And we're going to lose our country unless we get control of where these monies are coming from and how they're influencing our Congress, our Senate, our executive office. And I'm really worried. 20, well, we're in 2023 now. 2026, I think, is the 250th year of, of our country, and 2076 is the 300th year. If we are going the way we're going, I worry about my kids and grandkids.
What is it that motivated you to get into politics at the city level? Running for mayor of New York. Why was that sort of your focus? Because you
I
could have run, you could have gone to Washington, you could have,
I wanted to
state
make a
level.
difference. I love New York. I grew up in Harlem. You know, New York has given me and my family everything that we could have, and I just
Okay, I'm sorry for cutting it off. Uh, but let me say something right now. A lot of you guys don't like to go to big cities because it costs too much and a lot of people are there. And but the truth about that is, the truth about that is, wherever most people are, that's where the most money is to be made. So even though the common rent in New York is probably like 3,600 to 4,000, it's a lot of money to be made in those type of environments. With Cali, with New York, with Las Vegas, it's a lot of money to be made. That's the good thing about those environments. Since it's so crowded, it's a perfect place to make money. That's why people that are going to make money, they do not complain about those prices because there's so much people in those areas. The money that they're gonna make is kind of crazy, so they don't really care about those prices. All right, let me play the video.
wanted to make a difference and do the right thing for New York because I love New York, and I was well. What would Ed Koch say, the former mayor?
How am I doing?
How am I doing? But during the primary, I ran as a Republican liberal. Don't forget, I was a Bill Clinton guy. So running as a liberal,
It's like Mike
the
Bloomberg
likelihood
kind of.
was that my Democratic friends will vote for me on the liberal line. And I lost the Republican nomination because Rudy Giuliani's deputy mayor was running against me. So that I think I didn't really lose to the deputy mayor. I lost to Rudy Giuliani because they figured the public figured that he knew what he was doing when he picked him.
Talk about the lessons of the book because I'm fascinated. You actually dropped out of NYU 8 credits short. I know that you were already an owner
I
of.
didn't officially drop out. I just
You
ate
just
credit short.
didn't drop. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you didn't finish because the business case was very strong. That's actually a very modern thing to do because a lot of people are questioning the value of a university education. What advice do you have to young people starting out today?
Go to college.
Yeah.
Uh, Try to learn, but you have to learn what you want to learn. Uh, a job is not a job. Work is not work if you enjoy what you're doing. So get into a position that you really enjoy doing. That's a secret.
Joining me now is a young man who dropped out of Harvard and developed the Dub app.
I mean, I'm in.
I do have something to say about this topic because I was one of those kids who couldn't afford to go to college, and the way I got into the way I got into most positions was internships and networking and talking to people. But I'm still not in the place where I wanted to be, as in career wise, because well, I'm on the way there, but I'm still not in the position where I wanted to be because I couldn't afford to go to school. So, not saying that, not saying that what he's saying is wrong, but everybody don't have certain everybody got a opportunity, because there's always military, there's always entry level sales, there's always other things that you could do, but everybody don't get a chance to follow their dreams. I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say that.
Intrigued, both in the book and then in your show and elsewhere. I mean, you talk about policies, and as a business leader, let's start with the future of New York City. Are you optimistic right now? We've come through the pandemic. A lot of businesses, people have left. Do you think they'll come back?
484,000 people left in the last 24 months.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling. And and right now they are still leaving. I had Tom DiNapoli, the controller of the state of New York, on my show a few weeks ago. He says our budget is okay right now,
Because the
but he's
tax
worried
revenue.
about year 2, 3, and 4. Because if people keep living, and the people are leaving are high-end middle class millionaires, and who's going to pay? They're coming up. The socialists, when they're coming up with higher and higher budgets, who's going to pay for it if they keep people keep leaving? And what I say to her right now, the budget between New York State budget and New York City budget, where we're sitting right now, is almost $350 billion for 20 million people. You ready? You're sitting down. Florida, 22 million people. The budget is less than 114 billion.
Yeah.
2 to 1, 3 to 1. Where is the money going? Who's going to pay for it if people keep leaving? And my other concern now is that the Attorney General is starting to do investigations on businesses. What are we going to do? We have the people, the consumers are leaving. And what are we going to do? We're going to chase our businesses out of New York State too? I mean, who's going to be left? You're going to end up,
What would you do
I'll
as
tell
mayor?
Albany, you're going to end up like downtown Detroit or downtown Cleveland. I don't want to say anything bad about Cleveland or Detroit.
Yeah, yeah. This is when I was talking about earlier when I said a lot of people are leaving or not going to certain places because it costs too much, and these other places are less expensive. So this is what he's talking about. He's trying to fix that problem because overall, economically, especially in New York, it will better it will better oh my god it will benefit New York, okay, and any other place that's going through this, if they just make it a little bit better for the citizens.
But that's where you're going to end up in New York State if they don't have some common sense.
One thing that's interesting about your book is so much of your success is obviously raw talent plus hunger. And I am very fascinated with this particular generation, and it's hard to stereotype a generation, of course, but are you seeing in your own business or elsewhere the same hunger that you had that really drove you from a very young age to
Some
build a
yes,
business? Yeah.
some yes, some no. I've said publicly, I've said these kids that want to work 3 days a week, forget about it. They're not going to go nowhere. They're going to be failures in life. So if you think you're going to work 3 days a week and be a success in life, forget about
Korea
it.
just expanded its work week to 70-hour week.
Yeah,
We're, now that's
I look. When I was young, I used to work 70 hours, 80 hours a week. When I went into business, what was my motto? Failure is not an option. If I had to work 140 hours a week, I would work 140 hours a week. But these kids have to learn that they can't go and live off of mommy and daddy. And that this generation,
No, no, that's not something you learn. That's what I learned. Cause I did that ever since I was a sophomore in high school. Some people just have it in them, and some people just don't. It That's just human nature, right? There was a law firm that was giving a quarter mil signing bonus for young talent, and people was leaving because they couldn't have work life balance. They was gonna have to work a lot of hours with the firm and sacrifice a lot, so they were not willing to take that. My brother, he's doing ATP flight school. Um, a lot of people talk badly about ATP, and when I call ATP and I talk to them, ATP they don't kick nobody out. But when you look at these videos, people talk bad about ATP, but they quit because they couldn't They couldn't deal with the stress. Soon as it got bad, they just up and left, right? But there's people like me that just think about their future, and they'll be like, oh, this 1 or 2 years of this hardship is worth it for the rest of my life. And there's people out there who don't think that. All they're thinking about is, oh, it's too hard. Why they got me going through this? So they quit, so they can have that temporary satisfaction, which is gonna mess them up in the long run. And then when they see you driving a Lambo past them, they get mad. It's the same. It's that's the reason right there. That reason right there is the reason why there's only 10% of people that are high earners in America. It's only 10% of people. It's only a few set of people that could push past those limits without thinking twice. And every single one of those people are usually obsessive. They're usually obsessed. They're usually obsessed. And that's what it is. That's the problem that nobody want to talk about. That's the truth.
Generation Z did a lot of that. They went home, lived off of mommy and daddy, and they're gonna have more hunger for success. And what I try to teach the kids in Harlem, because I came from Harlem, and I go in the police athletic league, and I go visit them, and I go to the POW centers, or I go during the holiday parties. And you know what I say to them?
What?
I made it. You can make it too. And I would sit there with Police Commissioner Bratton or Police Commissioner Kelly, and there was 100 kids in that corner there. And I say, how many of these 100 can we save? Because I believe these kids need saving. And that's what I work very hard at, to try to raise money and save as many as we can. And a lot of these kids need somebody to put their arm on their shoulder and say, this is the right direction. What I say in the book is you reach many areas, forks in the road, and you have to know if it's zig or zag, or zag and zig. And these kids have to learn that. And they have to have mentors to be able to advise them. I had many mentors when I was growing up. And I
look younger than more 20-year-old guys. I don't lift. I don't run.
think I made the right decisions most of the time. And I want the people who read my book to realize that those decisions are going to come up. And the other thing I tell young people, or tell, you can't win if you're afraid of losing.
I'm thinking of the airline. Would that qualify as what you'd consider your biggest failure?
Well, I had a good time. I loved it. I was running an airline. I was 30. How old was I? 33 years old. I was running an airline for the whole world. And we were flying the whole world. We were like the 10th, 11th largest carrier. And at that age, out of Smyrna, Tennessee, a suburb of Nashville, I learned so much. I would say we didn't make much money, but I'll give you a secret. We did make money eventually because of the situation. When we sold the airline, when we saw People's Express entered our market,
Yeah.
we sold the airline.
Budget carrier, yeah.
And they owed us a lot of money, but we kept the airplanes as collateral. So the person we sold it to, poof, he went bankrupt. When we went back to bankruptcy court to recover our airplanes, guess what? That's when we found the oil company. So if I never would have sold the airline, if I never had the airline, I would have never found the oil company.
Serendipity. I want to end on something that I think is, so I'm a Canadian, and I've always had great admiration for the US, and especially, I guess you'd say, the American dream, this belief that anybody can make it. One of the differences I see today is there's less of a belief that the playing field is fair. And I think there's some validity to that. I mean, what do you think it?
Um, I might put my opinion on this. It's not fair, but it's not unfair either. Um, I'm pretty sure what she means is um, I'm pretty sure what she means is the rich are taking advantage of everybody else. No, no, no. That's not happening at all. Okay, that's not happening at all. At all. Um, so yes, if certain people have certain type of parents, like LeBron, so his son could easily go to the NBA. Yeah, well, his dad worked hard, so you can't blame him. His dad worked hard, so he get benefits that most people can't get. It's what it is. Like me, I couldn't go to college because I couldn't afford it. My parents couldn't afford college. I couldn't go to college. But I everybody could go to the military unless you're like a three times felon, and then you can't blame nobody either because those are your mistakes. But everybody could go to the military. Anybody could do entry level sales and work their way up. Anybody you could get a grant, go to school for free. Th- There's no there's no excuses. There's no excuses. Even if you're an immigrant and you come to this country, if when you get your citizenship, these things also apply to you too. No matter how old you are, you can get a grant and go to school. When I worked at a warehouse and I was looking at that temp company in high school, a white guy who did prison time came out and he was at a halfway house, but he was working with me at the he was working me at the warehouse. He was 46. He was the one who told me about grants. He he got a grant and he became a medical coder. And he got a certificate saying because I got a felony, you cannot use that as a reason not to hire me. And he got a job as a medical coder. He went to school for it. Another guy, it was another white male. Um, he got his CDL. He was 50. This guy was 46. This other guy was 50. He got his CDL, and they just came out of prison. But guess what? Though everybody else in the warehouse, they went around until they shared this information with everybody at the warehouse, and nobody took what they said. It went in one ear and out the other because they didn't want to sacrifice 2 3 days off of work to go to school. They didn't want to sacrifice that. Maybe they were so comfortable at their job, and this is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about. You can't get mad at people for working their ass off, and you too scared to do it. So now you want to talk about rich people or people that's doing better than you. These guys took a couple days. They took a couple days off. Was willing to get less on their check but they knew in the future it was gonna benefit them. Everybody else that was working, they was too comfortable. They was too comfortable at their job, and when the robots come out, I don't know what to tell you. So there, there's everybody got an opportunity, especially in America. Especially in America, everybody got an opportunity, but everybody don't have the same opportunities. So it's 50-50, but it, it's it's unfair, but it's fair because if you know somebody that's at a certain place and they could give you a certain type of position or a certain type of level up, then you know what can I say? Your dad is rich, so now you're a hedge fund manager at 19. What can I say? You know, your dad worked hard so you can have that position at a young age. Good for you, and I hope everybody else go through that too.
Take, as a business leader, as somebody interested in politics, to sort of create conditions where ambitious young people actually think they've got a chance.
The harder you work, the more luckier you get.
Still, you think?
That you're still there, but you got to even work even harder, and that's important. And people have to realize that. And location, location, location. I'm going to take New York as one. If you buy this building here, where we're sitting in, 10 years ago for $1 million, I'm just throwing numbers out. In New York, because you have, if you want to sell it, you have 20 other buyers. In 10 years, you might sell it for 5 or 10 million. If you buy this building in Kansas City, in Boise, Idaho, for $1 million, guess what? How many buyers you have for Kansas City? How many buyers? So location, location, location. Being able to buy and sell. And I think that's another secret in life, to be able to pick and choose.
So the book is How Far Do You Want to Go? Lessons from a Common Sense Billionaire. John, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed this interview. And if you read the book, I guarantee you're going to make at least a.
I love billionaires. I want to listen to people on Forbes. Guys, that was the video. Yeah. So I got